that graduated yesterday, especially the seniors at Druid Hills High School in Atlanta, Georgia on the Emory campus. They had one of the best graduations I'd ever seen because it was so super fast. Like literally we were in and out of there in under 2 hours, and that's with taking pictures with the graduates and everything else. Like they had it down packed. And what made it even more special to me was that Druid Hills High School, as many high schools, has different types of students from all different types of backgrounds. They had 3 people there to make sure that they pronounced all the Asian names correctly, all the African names correctly, all the Spanish names correctly, all the Islamic or Muslim or Arabic names correctly. Like literally everybody's name was pronounced with the proper accents on it. So it felt really good, because as a kid, I'm one of those, my last name is Folk, so people always butcher that. So for me, I'm extra sensitive about having my name pronounced properly. So I know how other people feel when they have a, last name that isn't the British spelling or a British norm, and how, us as Americans, we like to butcher that. But I think those days are far gone. So I'm pretty excited about that. And shout out to Ayana Lopez Matthews, our newest senior. She's also our Georgia anchor baby. My cousin and I moved to Georgia together about 20 years ago, and we joked about, what would happen if the South actually decided to secede from the Union. Like if we really liked it here, how would we stay? And so she had an anchor baby, a Georgia anchor baby, and our anchor baby graduated from high school yesterday. So congratulations, kid. So we're going to start something on the show. It's going to be called Sunday Traffic Confessionals, because I'm a recovering Catholic and I always feel the need to confess my sins. So on the drive over, my manager and I have conversations about traffic, and we were talking to some other people that have been having, similar issues with traffic. And so I'm going to tell you guys what one of the traffic sins were. One person, I guess everybody that I talked to, is having issues with people driving way too slow. When you drive way too slow, the people behind you sometimes do some real, things that aren't the most patient. Like if you're trying to make a U-turn when you're in the middle of busting that U, the person still drives, they don't give you a chance. So all I'm saying is if you're driving slow, you're not sure where you're going, keep going to the right, make that left turn, but don't stop, all right? If you're in the city of Atlanta, don't stop. Keep going. You can always make a right turn back around and, go about your business. But you get in a lot of people's way. And, as the summertime happens, there's a lot of visitors here. Again, always move to the right, pull into a parking lot or something like that, so people don't hurt you or curse at you or blow their horn at you or anything else. Another thing that came up with me this week has to do with some of the new laws that are being promoted in a lot of the southern states. And it has to do with the women's rights, whether they're, anti-abortion or pro-choice. And that's fine. That's a whole other conversation. But one of the things that really got to me was we were driving to one of the stadiums this week, and underneath one of the underpasses that's usually pretty empty, it now looks like Skid Row. And I mean, there's tons of homeless people. I don't know about your city, but here in the city of Atlanta, it looks like someone just dropped a whole bunch of people off. And so if we're going to have this real conversation about saving babies, we also have to be thinking about what happens to them after they're born. And on the way, we're going to talk about some states that are actually doing something for the babies after the womb when we come back on Financial Renaissance with the M's.
We're more connected than ever before. 90% of America's students use some
online. SSNATL.com.
And we are back with Financial Renaissance with the M's. I am your host, Emma Folks, and my superpower is being able to take knowledge from Washington and Wall Street and breaking it down for us right here on Main Street. That's right, for you. We are streaming live on SSNATL.com, and you can watch me you want to watch me on Facebook, you can tune into Sensation Station Network. And I'm telling you, today's show is going to be fire. That's right, fire. We are going to have, we're going to be talking about extreme weather, because, you know, we've had like a ton of tornadoes in the last like 20 days in our country. Also, I want you guys to drop your comments. We're going to be talking about homeowners insurance, what you need to know, auto insurance, you know, do you really want to put your young kids and teenagers on it? And then as business owners, there's a lot of, you know, strife going back and forth between, you know, Russia, China, the United States, and, you know, our president is kind of making China angry. So, you know, they have a way of getting back to us, you know, through the interweb. So we're going to talk about ways that business owners can actually protect themselves from cyber attacks, and then also looking at things business owners can do to preserve the wealth of their and the value of their business. But you can tune into us on Instagram and Facebook at Financial Renaissance. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook at Emma Knows Money. Go ahead on our Sensation Station Network page. You're going to want to drop your comments in there so that we can add. If you have any questions about your homeowners, your renters, your auto insurance policy, go ahead and drop those questions in there and we'll get those answered. You can also text us at 678-613-5857 if you're one of those that does not like social media. We understand. Trust me, we understand. So before the break, we talked. I was talking about homelessness and the abortion bill. And, you know, hey, I'm one of those weird people. So I'm you know, pro-life. Meaning you can do whatever you want to do. If a woman wants to, you know, a woman can make whatever decision they want to. I have no bearing in it. I have to worry about myself. But I'm also pro-gun. I think one of the reasons why none of the other countries have actually tried to, like, you know, pull up on us is because they don't know who owns guns in this country. They know we are all possibly all packing. So, you know, there needs to be this separation, if you will, between you know, talking about big government, little government, you know, things like that. And there's a couple of states that have been donating money to 529 plans. So a few states, if you've had a newborn, and there's a long list, and so you want to check with the state that you reside in. States are giving $100 towards newborn babies' 529 plans. The states I was able to find out was Colorado, Pennsylvania, and Vermont. So if you live in one of those states and you've had a newborn, go on and talk to your state representatives about that $100 that can go towards your child's 529 plan. Now, with 529 plans and with raising kids, and this brings us back to the abortion bill, kids are expensive. And if people don't feel that they can properly raise the kid, if they don't want to have kids that they are looking at, you know, feeding our jail system, things like that, we're going to have to do something about how people are paid, plain and simple. You want people to not, you know, consider abortion or have abortion as an option, then maybe make sure that they're earning enough money. Make sure they have jobs where they can actually control their time, take care of their schedule, so that they'll be able to actually raise kids. But there's something I want us as people to separate, because I think we keep lumping all conservatives in one bucket, and I don't think it's right. So there's two types of conservatives, and when people are talking to us and they say they're conservative, you have to ask them which one they are. So there's the social conservative. You know, here in the South, in the Bible Belt, there's social conservatives running amok all over the place. And social conservatives, they're the people that see traditional social values, that they feel that they're being threatened by secularism. So they feel that people are pushing their, you know, gay agenda, and they're trying to make people have abortions, and they're taking school prayer out of the schools, and, you know, just a whole bunch of stuff. No separation of church and state. They want the church, you know, intertwined, smashing with the state, right? But then we have the fiscal conservatives, and those are usually fiscal conservatives, and then there's some libertarians also. They favor smaller government, a laissez-faire economy, low income and corporate tax rates, and also limited regulation and enterprise. So again, I want you to make sure that you understand the differences between a social conservative and a fiscal conservative. Still to come, we're going to be talking about extreme weather and what you can do to protect yourself this summer on Financial Renaissance with the M's. you're spending your Sunday morning with Financial Renaissance with the M's and the great the Emma, first of her name, folks. That's right. Um, I want to make sure you guys put your comments in our Facebook section. I actually want to know, we just had a little bit of a conversation here. We're talking about the southern states' abortion bans and what the true cost of that is going to be. And we're also, I mentioned homelessness. You know, there's a couple of things that need to be fixed. But I want to talk about the abortion ban and my understanding. So I'm one of those unique people that when someone says something or does something that is, offensive to me or goes against my own values and what I think to be right, I try to look at it from their standpoint. What is their point of view? Why do they feel that way? And in our country right now, we are at a 30-year birth rate low. That means people aren't having children. So I can understand the abortion ban because for our country to thrive, we need to make sure our population is up. But again, this always is going to come back down to income. If people aren't earning enough money, they are not going to feel comfortable having kids. Again, it costs on the low end, possibly the low 200s to raise a kid, and on the medium scale, medium size end, about $500,000. That's a lot of money. That's a whole lot of money if you're barely making ends meet. So that's something that I want lawmakers to also think about. It's not just, no, women shouldn't have abortions. Maybe women should have more money. Fathers should have more money to be able to take care of their kids, and then we'll be having a totally different conversation. Now, one of the issues that I also see with this abortion ban is in the South, and especially the state of Georgia. Georgia has become Hollywood South. There are tons of film companies that get tax credits for filming here in Georgia. And right now, the Georgia film industry is about a $3 billion industry. And there are over 92,000 jobs that have been created because of the Georgia film industry. Now, a lot of these film companies are about to boycott Georgia, and Netflix is one of them. And so I, would love the lawmakers to, I get where you guys are coming from. Part of this is the Democrats' fault as well, because when the Republicans or the conservatives were talking about anti-abortion, they were really talking about not having abortions after the 20-week mark. I think we can all agree, unless there's something medically wrong, maybe having an abortion after the 20-week mark wasn't such a great idea. So I could see where they were coming from. But what the Democrats did was they said, oh, the Republicans are anti-abortion. They weren't all abortions. They were anti-abortions after a certain period. So we're in this situation that we're in now because people weren't listening and speaking the whole truth about what each side wanted. So here's where we are now. So again, the state of Georgia may be losing out on billions of dollars of revenue, and there are 92,000 jobs that are going to be on the line as a result of a possible abortion ban. Now, I want everyone to go back couple years ago to the great state of Indiana. I believe that's where Mike Pence is from. And when they tried to do some type of ban, whether it was against the LGBT community, that had to have been his thing. The NCAA was supposed to have a Final Four there, and they ended up pulling out. So when people take these hard conservative, social conservative stances in government, it ends up costing. And again, if you are a social conservative, more power to you. But we have to be able to separate the two because there's a cost associated with it. And just like you don't like people pushing their ideas and views on you, we don't like it when you push your ideas and views on us. So we can agree to disagree and cohabitate and live in the same realm without having to impose our values on each other. Does that make sense? So that's all we want. I don't have a gay agenda. I don't have a black agenda. I don't have a female agenda. I don't have any agenda except to be a good human being. That's it. That is it. And that's what we want here in Georgia as well. So we don't want to suffer from the financial toll. I'd love to know your thoughts and comments about the abortion bill and also some of these jobs. Looking at our birth rates, so as I mentioned, the birth rate is on a decline, and we've got some states that are actually more quote-unquote fertile than others. So there, in the year 2017, there were about 3.85 million children born, new babies. And that's the lowest rate since 1987. So for our population to replace itself, they're saying that 2,100 babies should be born for every 1,000 women. So every woman should be having about 2 kids. So our low fertility rate is going to put us in a, we're going to end up seeing the effects of it. Just think to China and where China is right now. China, remember, they had a one-child rule, and then all of a sudden they realized that, oh, we don't have enough women, children, or women, young ladies to marry the boy babies that we kept. So it put the country in a little bit of an awkward situation. If we fast forward, 20 years from now, we're going to have a little bit of an issue because we're going to have a population that can't support the older generation. And this is where immigration will come in, and we have to have honest conversations about who we let into our country. And let me just say this. Okay. So don't take this the wrong way. I don't want to offend anybody. Adolf Hitler was a beast, right? And when we think about what he did, we have all types of emotions about it. But here was a guy with brown hair and brown eyes who talked about the perfect race being people who had blonde hair and blue eyes. But this brown hair, brown eyed guy was talking to us. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about how people who are the descendants of immigrants are anti-immigration. We're also going to be talking about extreme weather when we come back on Financial Renaissance with the M's. And we are back with Financial Renaissance with the M's. Thank you all for being here with us this happy, warm, and beautiful Sunday. There's no rain. It's a bunch of clouds in the sky, but it's a beautiful, beautiful day. And listen, I want you to, you can listen to us on ssnatl.com, and you can also watch us live on Facebook at Sensation Station Network. Go ahead and drop your questions in. We have a special guest, all right? He is an Air Force veteran and the owner of the Jeter Agency, Gerald G.K. Jeter. Is it Jeter? Jeter, if I'm from Boston. Do I say Jeter like Peter?
You can. I will.
How do you pronounce it?
Jeter.
Jeter. Wasn't there a baseball player with the last name Jeter? A Yankee.
There was.
New York
but he
Yankees.
spelled his name wrong.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll let that go. So how you doing, man?
I am awesome.
Good
It's
to
a
see you
day,
again.
Not so hot.
Not so hot, but
Yeah.
it didn't even matter. You was coming out clean, right?
Hey, I'm coming to see the M's. I have
Oh, the bow tie killer. You see that bow tie? I won't say it's pretty. Somebody called your bow tie pretty this past week. We were at an event, and someone called your bow tie pretty, and I had this. So what's the proper word so ladies know when we're looking at your bow ties and we want to say how nice it looks? What's the proper way to say that's a nice tie?
Well, I'm easy. Just a compliment is good enough for me. However you bring it,
You'll take it?
I'll take it.
All right,
I'm not the masculine, feminine type.
Oh. You're not into that toxic masculinity thing, so that doesn't offend you?
It doesn't.
If I say that's a pretty bow tie?
Hey, it's pink.
Oh, I love it. So tell us a little bit about what you do, why you do it. I know you're an Air Force veteran,
Yes.
so thank you for your service. Doesn't that always make you blush when people say that?
It does.
Does it make you feel uncomfortable at all?
There are times because I did not sacrifice my life as others did. However, I'm sure that my contribution made a difference as well.
You know, I struggle with that myself. When people say that, I'm like, no, I didn't blah, 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 even though there's a whole other litany of issues. We're both
Right.
disabled veterans, right?
Right.
Right? So obviously we gave up something, but I always feel like, but I didn't get a hand blown off, or I didn't see real combat. So I always feel guilty when people say that to me. But I can tell you I don't know, do you fly Delta?
I do fly Delta.
Have you flown Delta from out of Atlanta?
Of course.
Okay, so you've been able to get on the plane first?
Yes.
Yes. So Delta, shout out to Delta with what they do with veterans, because they let us on before the first class people and even the medallion members. So, my manager is always like holding the medallion membership and me being able to get on the plane first because I'm with her. But as a veteran, when we leave from Atlanta, It's all about us.
Yes,
And I
it-
appreciate, like, literally, that
Thank
that
you,
actually
Delta.
makes me feel good. So
It
thank you,
does.
Delta. So let's talk about insurance,
Okay.
right? Everybody's least favorite subject.
It is their least favorite subject until they have a claim.
Right, right. And my thing with insurance is know what you have before you need it. Because you never, you just don't know. So let's talk about the history of insurance.
Okay. Well, history is basically a transfer of risk. So someone said, hey, I will pay you if you will take care of this for me if I have this. And that's basically what insurance is today. It has evolved into different facets of coverages, but it's the premise is still the same. One person pays another person or company to take on the risk in case of a loss.
Yeah, back in the day, it was ships, and it was cargo, human.
Right.
It was human. It was spices. It was all types of stuff. And
Right.
Lloyd's was one of the companies that kind of jumped it off, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So insurance is just like you said, transferring a risk. If you had a ship out to sea and that ship went down, you wanted your money for it,
Right.
because usually the owners of the ships were not on the ships.
Definitely, they knew there was a hazard.
There was a risk. There was a risk
Right.
involved. So they wanted to make sure they got their money's worth if things didn't go according to plan. And that's basically what we're doing. We have car insurance. We're, hopefully nothing ever goes wrong. But if things don't go according to plan, we would like a new vehicle, right?
Right.
Well, I have some questions for you.
I probably have some answers. For
All
you.
right. So I've got some questions that came in that have to do with, actually, it has to do with teenagers. Oh, and I forgot to write the person's name. My bad. Do I need umbrella insurance if I have teenage drivers?
Umbrella insurance is always good. It's not mandatory. What I would say with teenage drivers, the first thing you want to do is make sure they take a certified driver's course. And the reason I would say that certified driver's course is going to help you reduce the rate.
For the teenager?
For the teenager,
Oh,
yes.
okay. Can adults take that too?
Absolutely. I suggest to all my customers, and now we have an online platform in which you can take a driver's course, and it will allow you a discount on your policy.
All right. I have an angry parent. So here's a parent that says, my teen has a permit, but they won't be driving this summer. They're grounded. Do I still have to add them on my insurance?
Well, if they have a permit and not a license, they don't have to be added because they're not a 100% driver. They're permitted.
Okay.
So no, they don't have to be added. And that kind of depends on your insurance company because different insurance companies handle exclusions and not adds differently.
So then if you have a young, and I think people don't want to tell their insurance companies that they're young, and but once
We
it
know.
hits the system,
We
but
know.
you guys know, right? So if you have a young person in your house that's bugging you about driving, make sure you talk to your insurance company first. Make sure the kid is on the phone too, because young people need to understand the cost that is incurred by the parents when the child is added to the policy. They need to understand that there needs to be a definite connection of the dots, and hopefully they won't do the things that we know young people are, prone to do sometimes. We're just trying to mitigate some risk here
Definitely,
by sharing with them.
definitely.
So does your agency, tell us about your agency, where is it located?
Okay. Well, I am the owner of the GK Jeter Agency, and we are basically a farmer's insurance agency. I'm sure you've heard the commercials.
You guys
we
have the one of-
are farmers.
Bum, 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 bum.
That is us.
You guys have some of the dopest commercials. I like the doggy commercial, the dogs that did the little,
The
the
dance,
water, the
yes.
water thing, the baby upstairs. Oh wait, was that you guys? Where the baby flooded the?
Yes. and
Okay, yeah. So there's a whole, like, you guys have like some of the craziest commercials.
we try to capture the attention of the listener and or viewer.
You do.
So, what I do, we do auto, home, we do commercial insurance, we do life insurance very well, and what my agency as a whole, what we try to do is we try to hold the hand of the customer wherever they are.
Okay.
We try to meet them where they are, and we try not to sell as much as we try to present. So we don't want to be salesmen. We're not trying to cram something down your throat, especially if you don't want it. The only thing you have to have in Georgia is auto insurance, and your mortgage company tells you have to have homeowners insurance. Other than that, everything is pretty much optional.
You need life insurance. Let's say that should not be
Yes.
optional. I wish they would make that a mandatory thing, because it would save so much drama if people had life insurance.
I don't know if GoFundMe would agree with you
Oh,
on that,
man,
but
don't get me started. Don't get me
But
started.
I agree.
GoFundMe is not the right way to bury for you.
definitely not.
Do you dabble in life insurance at all? Do you offer life insurance as a solution?
I consider myself a life insurance guru.
You know what's going to happen during the commercial, right?
Bring it on,
Okay,
bring it on.
all right. Yes.
But yes, I do like life insurance. It's something that I saw my grandmother purchasing very young. So I won't call him old, but he was a young insurance agent. Used to come by once a month and collect $2 or $3 from my grandmother. I didn't know.
Where are you from?
I'm from the Georgia area.
Okay.
And, he'd walk the street and he'd go to my grandma's house. He'd go to the next house. I guess he had the whole neighborhood on lock. And when she passed, it was refreshing that she had everything taken care of. And people, when you're dealing with that type of catastrophe of a loss of life, the last thing you want to have to think about is the financial ramifications, because there's a cost to bury people.
Oh my gosh, is it?
And
There's a cost to cremate people.
yeah,
There's a cost to I'll just go out and just put me in a pine box and burn me up. No, that costs money, and actually they've even increased the cost for that.
yes, the cost of the hole that you put someone in, the cost to put someone in a hole, the things you put in the hole, and
Yeah.
that doesn't count the bills and things that are left behind that people are unaware of that may be left behind. So,
Now, I've seen some, I'm also in the industry, and I've seen some stories where, life insurance is just really, it was like almost a love letter from the grave. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like, here, the house, pay off the house. You don't have to work anymore, or focus on working. You don't have to focus on income. Kids, college is taken care of, blah, blah, blah. All you have to do is worry about grieving and recovering. But then there's some other stories.
there are some other stories.
There are some other stories where life insurance was not a part of the picture.
Yeah, and it does become, and I'm not picking on GoFundMe because their platform is amazing, but it does become the begging via GoFundMe and those type of things. And what I'll just say is, take care of it on the front end, and things will be better on the back end.
All right. Well, thanks. Coming up on Financial Renaissance with the M's, we're going to be talking about extreme weather, your homeowner's insurance policy. If you're a business owner, do you need cyber insurance? We'll be back. 300 seconds.
Wake up and text. Text and eat. Text and catch the bus. Text and miss your stop. Wait. Text and be late to work. Sorry, I'm late. Text and work. Text and pretend to work. Text and act surprised when someone calls you out for not working. Me? Text and meet up with a friend you haven't seen in forever.
Hi.
Oh, hey. Text and complain that they're on their phone the whole time. Text and listen to them complain that you're on your phone the whole time. Text and whatever. But when you get behind the wheel, give your phone to a passenger.
The bad news first.
I cooked nothing.
Well, that's the good news then.
Uh-huh. Well, there's no bad news then, because tonight we're gonna have Jerk Palace.
Call Jerk Palace for authentic Caribbean cuisine, including vegetarian entrees with authentic Caribbean flavor. Call 770-892-5049. Located at 6221 Jonesboro Road, Highway 54 in Morrow, Georgia. Jerk Palace.
To buy your home, you became a house hunting ace, learned about loans, scoured neighborhoods, and asked the right questions. Now you're queen of your castle. If you manage that, you can get your retirement plan on track. Visiting aceyourretirement.org can help. With 401k tips and smart saving strategies, you'll feel empowered to own your retirement like you own your home. Go to aceyourretirement.org. Because when it comes to clearing financial hurdles, you're an ace. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Coming to Tampa Bay, I said we want to win the Super Bowl, and I believe we will.
From IamSecond.com.
We came close, but never really did win that championship.
Former NFL head coach Tony Dungy.
At the end of my 6th year, I was fired, and it was one of the biggest disappointments of my life. Next year, I'm in Indianapolis, get to the playoffs, but get knocked out again. And for the next couple of years, it's the same thing. Everyone is saying Colts are never going to win one. And I did wonder, why didn't it pan out the way I thought it would? But I determined that I had to have Christ first, and that everything else came below that, including my own desires. The next year, that ended up being our year to go to the Super Bowl and win it. And it was a wonderful feeling. Every decision I make, I'm going to make it through the lens of Jesus Christ, and He guide us to that ultimate victory. I'm Tony Dungy, and I am second.
Sweet strawberry icing. You were strolling along in goodwill when just past that mid-century side table and denim jacket you spotted them, nestled in their display case. Miniature donut earrings. Oh, yes! Yes! Your favorite half-breakfast pastry, half-all-day dessert food, made into your favorite form of ear candy. Oh, my. Those bejeweled sprinkles have satisfied some unknown hunger within you. Shh. Do you smell that? That's the sugary scent of shopping success. For this is Goodwill. And with every item you buy, you fund local job training and more. So go forth. Bring home those donut earrings and bring home so much good to your community. Goodwill. Bring good home. Brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Big business. This is the American way.
Station Network.
See ya.
Greater vibes and an awesome mix. It's what weekends should strive to be. So relax. We'll take it from here. Not dumbed down since day one. SSNATL.com.
And we are back with Financial Renaissance with the M's, and I am here with Gerald Jeter. Excuse me, we're in the South, Jeter. And listen, go ahead and put your comments in our comment section on Facebook. You can go to Sensation Station Network. Go ahead and put your questions in there. And we have a question from one of our listeners, Gerald. Can you talk about the average cost of burials versus cremations?
Well, we could talk about the average cost. Of course, there are some sensationalists that want bedazzled caskets.
Oh, I'm sorry, not you.
They have bedazzled caskets that will cost over.
Did you say bedazzled?
Yes, I did. I did say bedazzled caskets. But generally, about $10,000 is going to be your mid-level funeral cost, and that will consider, the funeral services, the embalming, and all of those fees. So roughly about $10,000. You're not going to get anything special as far
and most people don't, let's be real. People are not doing budget. Most people don't do budget funerals,
right.
Okay? I'm sorry, unless you are pragmatic and you pay attention to every dollar. But what happens is, let's be honest, we're all about telling the truth on Financial Renaissance, okay?
You're going to be in the neighborhood
what
of 15,
happens
20.
25, 30,000. You
You're
go
right.
to the funeral home, you are crying, it's not crying, your heart is just broken, and they show you the best casket.
Oh yeah, you want to put Big Mama in that casket.
Oh, in that casket, let her be her forever bed, be the best bed.
Exactly.
That's right. Satin, silk lined, mahogany on the outside, her name bedazzled.
Yes, Big Mama got it. She was good to everybody.
That's right.
You're gonna do the best, and before you know it, that price adds up. And
it does.
You call all the family and friends, and you say, hey, we need a little money for this, that, and the other. And it's best on the front end. You know, I'll go back to take care of that through monthly payments of a life insurance policy, so that your family, and I like to call it love insurance. I know some people call it life insurance. You know, your family will be able to take care of you properly, but in turn, you're taking care of them because they're grieving because they loved you.
Now let's talk about cremations, because cremations have skyrocketed. There has been a 85% increase in cremations from the turn of the century, from the year 2000 to now, and it's probably a little bit more now. My dad is a little, a little crusty, a little dusty, but 85%. Back in the year 2000, there were like 26.2% of the funerals were done by cremation, and then now it's over 50%. And what's the cost difference?
Well, there's a substantial difference in cost. You can get a cremation done somewhere in the neighborhood to $2,000 to $5,000 range, which is a substantial difference. Also, with that cost difference, what do you do with the body? Do you want to?
Well,
and so that could increase if you want to do something, as far as a permanent fixture.
Yeah, hey, on the way, we're going to talk a little bit about what we can do with bodies possibly, but we're also going to be looking into homeowners insurance and what you need to do to make sure that you don't get crushed during this extreme weather on Financial Renaissance with the M's.
Opiates has taken everything and everyone I've ever loved away from me. Everything.
I blew my ankle out and I got prescribed pain pills by my doctor.
If making my detox public is going to help somebody, I'm all for it. I just wish I would have had a warning.
Opioid dependence can happen after just 5 days. Know the truth. Spread the truth. A message from Truth, the Ad Council, and ONDCP.
Already coaching? Everybody's a coach these days. I get it. Life coach, relationship coach, financial coach. But you want to be a coach with integrity. So get certified and do it the right way. Or add coaching to the work that you already do. Join a cohort or take classes at your own pace. We have knowledgeable instructors. We have a life-changing curriculum. Go to academyofcreativecoaching.com to learn more.
You use Tearless Baby Shampoo because it's gentle on your baby's eyes. You make sure his toys don't have any sharp edges. You always test the bathwater to make sure it's not too hot. You taught her what to do when the smoke alarm goes off. You make sure she wears a helmet when she rides her bicycle. You put on his sunscreen, even when he's embarrassed his friends will see. You do so much to keep your child safe. But are you using the right car seat for your child? Is your child facing the right way in the car seat? Is the seat too big or too small? How do you know when it's time to move your child into the next type of seat? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. For information on the right seat for your child, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat. That's safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Having trouble finding Connor's middle school? Would you like directions?
No, why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
No, I'm tired of fighting with him over homework.
Home walk restaurant. Need a review?
No, I need help. He's very smart, but his mind wanders. He's disorganized.
I think I understand.
Oh, good.
Finding best potatoes for French fries.
No!
Russet. Fingerling. Yukon Gold.
Why don't you understand me?
Sorry, I was trying to show how Connor feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
For the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues, this is what life can feel like. Explore understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues, designed to help your child thrive in school and in life. Understood.org, because understanding is everything.
Brought to you by understood.org and the Ad Council.
Don't just sing the song. Do it. And we're here to help with Smart Talk from programs like this. Your nation's urban station. Online on SSNATL.com.
We're back with Financial Renaissance with the M's. Thank you for spending your Sunday with us today. We are dissecting insurance, especially homeowners auto, business insurances. And I'm here with Gerald Jeter of the Jeter Agency.
GK Jeter.
GK Jeter. What does GK stand for?
Gerald Keith.
Keith?
Yes.
I haven't heard that name in like forever. It's almost like the name Stanley. So that, like, Keith sounds better than Stanley. My bad to the Stanleys that are out there. But listen, we have a comment about that there are online casket services. You don't have to buy a casket from a funeral home, apparently.
No, you don't. From my understanding, I can't quote verbatim, but there's a law out there that says that you have the option whether to buy your casket from the funeral home, or you can have the funeral home accept the casket that you purchased online.
Wow.
So
wow.
You can save some money that way. However, you can't touch, feel, and get the instant gratification. I'm not sure when it will be delivered, but
you know, I'm one of those. I don't like dealing with death at all. I like to remember people as they were. So I'm not feeling touching anybody's casket. Like, I'll tell you that right now. I want no part of it. I don't like funeral homes. I don't like none of that stuff. Let's switch gears, because you guys got me all sad. I'm all sad now. Let's talk a little bit about homeowners insurance. And, you know, our homeowners insurance policies, you know, if I'm with XYZ company, or if I'm with, you know, Farmers, or, you know, some other big box company, are they all the same across the board pretty much?
absolutely not.
Oh.
I'll give you a story. When I purchased my home, I was shopping for insurance, and I got a quote from one of the big box insurance agencies, and I just thought it was a little high, and I kept shopping around, and I came up, you know, with an amazing price, and I told the big box company, well, I'm not going to go with you. I got a different price, and she said, send it over. Let me see what it is, and she dissected it, and I would have been so severely undercovered by things that I would have needed. And so that's when I learned that all policies are not the same. They all say that they're homeowners insurance policies, but they're
Yes, perils. It was one of my exam questions on the CFP. See, part of my CFP exam, we had to learn all about property and casualty, so I learned at one point everything I needed to know, but it's not my area of expertise. One of the things that I know really hoses people up has to do with the replacement of things, you know, after there's been some type of, is it peril? Some
Sure.
type of event, catastrophic event. You know, there's actual cash value.
Yes.
And there's replacement value. Okay, I want everybody to, you know, you write this down, and you're going to go check out your own homeowners insurance policy. Can they look on the declaration pages for this?
They can look on
last 25 days, which is unprecedented in our country. So that means you're going to have a busy summer, sir.
Correct.
Okay. So let's talk about the differences between the actual cash value and replacement value, please.
Okay. So what I consider actual cash value is what I consider to be the old type of insurance, when you got insurance and they would depreciate the value of, so say for instance you bought a 50-inch LG TV 5 years ago, and you had an accident, whether it be a fire, a storm, or whatever, and your TV is now broken. A couple years ago, and the actual cash value, they're going to depreciate the use of it. So they may give you $250 for it.
Yeah. So again, you had a 50-inch LG TV, you know, top of the line, and it gets destroyed, and what you get to replace that 50-inch with is $250. What I can tell you is that's not going to buy that same TV again.
Correct.
You'll get some off-brand, but it won't replace that TV.
Correct.
So the type of insurance you want to make sure that you have, and is it insurance or is it a what do they call it? Codicil? Well, let's not even go there. Let's not go there. What is it that we call? What do we call this?
It's a type of endorsement.
An endorsement.
Yes,
okay.
and what you want is what's called replacement cost value.
Okay.
And what they do is they give you the value to replace your item. So it does not take into account depreciation, loss of the use you've had on it, or the current condition. It's
So let's use that same example of that television. So, there's a storm or, surge, power surge, something happens, it fries the TV. You call your insurance company, blah, blah, blah. Right. So if you have replacement cost value, what does that look like?
Well, because we're specifically talking about TVs, either they're going to give you the $1,000 that it cost that you originally cost, or they're probably going to give you $850 because the cost of TVs are coming down. But still, they will give you the cost or the value to replace that with the same functions that your TV has. So if you had surround sound and all of that, they're going to find that same TV brand, and they're going to see what the current cost of it is. Even if it has a few more features, it's going to have the minimum of the features that you had, and they will pay you that value.
So that you can replace. So again, you can take that broken TV, throw it out, and then you can put a brand new TV in its place. Right. And it doesn't have to be an off-brand brand.
Exactly. They're going to look up that same brand and try to give you the same value it would cost to go and replace the TV.
I had another question that had come in. Do I have to notify my insurance company if I remodel my house?
Well, yes and no. What we offer is most of the times at 110% inflation cost guarantee, which means that we're going to give you the basis of your house when we write the policy. And then should you make improvements, we're going to give you another 10% on top of that so that we can fix it. It is best that you notify your insurance agency to make sure that you are properly covered, though. Most of the times you will be covered, and most of the times you don't have to. But as a safeguard, it's best to make sure that square footage, especially if you're adding square footage, is included.
Okay. Now, what are some things? Again, we're going to be having possibly a lot of storms this summer. When we come back, I want you to share with us things that people need to do before we're hit by these storms. So we know the storms are coming. What are the things that you need to do to protect yourself and to review in your insurance policy when we come back with Financial Renaissance with the M's?
Alexa, what's the weather?
When you go to the ATL, you never know what the weather will be. But when you go to ssnatl.com, summer skies, 365, plus an awesome mix of urban hits up in there.
Can you feel that bass?
All day, every day.
ssnatl.com.
Renaissance with the M's. We're here with Gerald Jeter, and we're talking about the extreme weather and things that you need to do. We know that storms are possibly coming this summer. Our country's being hit by a lot of extreme weather. And what are some things that people, preventative, before the storm comes, what do we need to do to batten down the hatches, make sure we're protected?
Well, of course, make sure your insurance policy is paid. Let's start there. Make sure your policy
and this is renters and homeowners,
exactly.
Right? Both. Okay.
And then the best way to make sure that you can replace everything that you have, I would suggest either take pictures or a video of your things. And one thing I would also do is make sure you back up those pictures or videos at some place that will not be in the storm. So if you leave them in your camera and your camera gets hurt in the storm, then you don't have anything.
The camera gets wet.
Right.
So put them in the cloud. Now most people are taking pictures with their phone, so hopefully it should also be somebody who's not in the same state as you. Just in case something happens to you, you're laid up in the hospital, somebody needs to speak on your behalf. Right. They need to be able to communicate with the insurance company.
Exactly.
Right?
And you should always notify people of the policies that you have, so that in case you are in a state that you can't act on your own behalf, they'll know what you have and how to get to those policies.
Yeah, we call that black boxing, like how the planes have that black box. You need one.
most of my customers, I always tell them to call me first. Now, you can go ahead and make a claim first, but I tell you to call me first because I have the resources.
So a tree just went through my house. I'm calling you. It's 2 a.m.
It's 2 a.m. I'm going to pick up the phone. I'm going to call my service person that will be able to put a tarp over your house and secure your house. The claims rep, if you had a storm that came by, he may have 30 other people ahead of you.
Got it.
Me, I can call this agency. They'll come over and they'll put a tarp on it. They'll secure it.
Oh, so people don't need to do that. I always wondered who did that.
Nah,
Okay.
That way, you're taken care of. They can make sure that the building is safe to go in to take things out because it may not even be safe to go in. So if you call me, I'm going to have a professional over there.
To make sure there's no structural damage.
Exactly.
And I didn't even think about that. Okay.
So that's why I tell my customers to call me, not because I don't want you to make a claim. I'm going to make the claim for you, but I want to make sure that things are safe. I don't make insurance takes care of the things that happen pretty much during the accident. If you don't protect your things after the accident, you may not be covered. So
Listen to what he just said. If there is a breach to your property and there's water coming in or something else, you have to take steps to protect that stuff.
Yes.
After the tree comes through, you have to take steps now to try to protect as much as you can.
Correct.
Right? Wow. Oh
Yes.
my gosh. That's too much to think about. A tree just came through my house and now I have to figure out, while I'm crying.
Yeah, it's and that's why I tell my people, call me. I think about these things. This is my profession. This is what I do. You call me, say, Gerald, I had this problem. I say, no problem. Such and such will be contacting you within the next 15 minutes.
Oh, that fast?
My people know if I'm calling, take care of my people or else you won't be on my list.
Ooh, the list. If you want to get on his list, call his agency. Well, let me ask, do you see the insurance industry, the property and casualty industry getting into healthcare at all?
There are two different animals with the name insurance attached behind them. I do not.
Okay.
That's just my opinion. People smarter than me might be integrating them in some other. They're night and day. They're both risk, transfers of risk, which is going to be your insurance, but they're two totally different things.
Oh, we definitely have to talk about health insurance offline because I've got clients right now that are paying mortgage payments for health insurance. That's a lot of money. Business insurances. I was talking about China. China's kind of greasy on that internet. They've got whole universities dedicated to just breaking into stuff, right? Yes. So when we come back, I want you to talk to business owners about ways that you can protect your business from the evils that are happening out on the internet on Financial Renaissance with the M's.
My savings are gone.
Okay, where were they last?
Here, right before I spent them on the vacation to Aruba.
Weird. Not weird. Not saving now means no money later. For free ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Good morning, Uglyville!
Every ugly doll is unique.
I'm Moxie.
Bobo.
Wade.
Those close to me call me Slick Dog.
Which is not his name.
And every child is, too.
He can be pretty lovable.
That's why when you travel, you should make sure your child is in the right seat for their age and size.
That sounds pretty great to me.
Keep them safe by visiting nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Isn't that right, gibberish cat?
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Good morning, Uglyville!
Every ugly doll is unique.
I'm Moxie.
Bobo.
Wade.
Those close to me call me Slick Dog.
Which is not his name.
And every child is, too.
He can be pretty lovable.
That's why when you travel, you should make sure your child is in the right seat for their age and size.
That sounds pretty great to me.
Keep them safe by visiting nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Isn't that right, gibberish cat?
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
When I was little, I didn't talk for a long time. I was sensitive to lights and sounds, so I built secret hiding places where they couldn't get in. Sometimes I do the same things over and over, until one day I found out I had autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
No word in the English language is less convincing than probably.
Are you sure we should get matching tattoos on our first date?
Sure. We'll probably stay together.
Probably? It's been 23 minutes since I ate. I can probably swim.
You should wait 30 minutes.
Okay, now tell me what to do. Cannonball! Cramp! Oh, I have a cramp.
I can probably hit the green from here.
Probably.
Can I get a mulligan?
Ready to go?
Hey, are you sure you're okay to drive?
Yeah, I'm pretty sober. Yeah, I'm probably okay. Probably okay isn't okay, especially when it comes to drinking and driving. If you're drinking, call a cab, a car, or a friend. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. A message brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Marie Callender's knows that you may not have time to roll out dough for a perfectly flaky crust that's made from scratch. Or enough time to mix vegetables with all white meat chicken and a homemade gravy. She knows you may not have a moment to crimp the edges of your favorite chicken pot pie. But Marie Callender's does. And when she's done, all you need to do is find time to grab someone special. Sit down and savor. Marie Callender's, it's time to save.
Energizing a nation, one listener at a time. It's SSNATL.com. Radio that's not dumbed down.
And you're back with Financial Renaissance with the M's. Hey, we're having a good time today. Thank you all for your comments. Go ahead and if you're listening at ssnatl.com and you want to, and you don't believe in Facebook or any of those internet-based social media things, you can go ahead and text us at 678-613-5857. And thank you all for the comments that you're putting in. We have another comment that came in during the break that had to do with what I was talking about in the beginning in Georgia with the anti-abortion or abortion ban. And the listener says that government officials are only for pro-birth and not pro-life, or thinking about the long-term good of the people. Thanks for bringing that up. Thanks for your comment. I appreciate it. Want to hear what you have to say? Go ahead and drop your comments. If you're on Facebook, go to Sensation Station Network. Drop your comments in there, and we'll talk about them on air. All right. I'm here with Gerald Jeter. Don't look at this. This is mine. Here with Gerald Jeter from the GK Jeter Agency. That's right, here in Atlanta. And before the break, we started to talk a little bit about cyber insurance, right? And I was mentioning that, you know, the Russians and the Chinese, they've got college amounts of people, universities, dedicated to cracking our codes. So let's talk about cyber. How does a business owner, you know, a solo dolo business owner just trying to make a living, just trying to survive, how do they protect themselves against what's happening on this internet?
Well, as far as how they can protect themselves, of course, is going to be through insurance. And we offer a package policy, usually with most business policies, and it includes some cyber insurance. Breach or an intentional act that an employee could do to give out personal information to their customers, and it could be thousands up to millions of dollars of things that we won't even think about until we have that breach.
Do you guys offer any type, like with the insurance, do you offer training so that people can tell their staff, hey, if you're on LinkedIn, just don't, you know?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
We do have things set up so that the insurance owner can be financially responsible.
Okay. And so cyber insurance is a good thing. Does it also come with a PR company? Like, what are some of the bells and whistles? Because as a business owner, At one of the conferences I went to, they're going to be going after you.
Right.
So what types of things besides the insurance come with it?
Well, you're exactly. That money could be replaced or not necessarily actual, but there's a potential that their information has been lost or out there in cyberspace.
Exposed on the dark web.
They want to be paid, they want to be reassured, but your company name also. So this insurance will pay for the PR to get your company back in the good graces of your customers. A lot of times they put a credit monitoring service in place. And for the actual loss, if there are lawsuits that come in, the cyber insurance will kick in. It'll pay for the attorney fees.
Loss of revenues. Tons of stuff. If you are a business owner and you don't have cyber insurance, call Gerald, call your insurance agency, look it up. And I would actually speak to an agent to make sure you're getting the right things. There's lots of stuff available online, but your business is unique, and you need to speak to someone who is a professional in that manner, so that they can make sure you're doing all of the right things. Now, also another thing I think business owners also need to look into are buy-sell agreements.
Oh, definitely.
So let's talk about. Well, look at your smile. I love buy-sell agreements.
Well, if there's more than one owner to a company, especially if they are not in a relationship as far as married or anything like that, there's a potential of a headache should one of those not just die, but become incapacitated for whatever reason. And then do you want to be in bed or in business with,
let's say in business, not bed.
Okay. Well, do you want to be in business with
your business partner's
18-year-old
ex-wife or child,
his ex-wife,
right?
or his young child, and they may not have the same vision that you have, and it could cause a strife and cause you to lose your whole business.
Yes.
So buy-sell agreements, as far they are very important as far as succession planning of your business.
And stay tuned. When we come back, we're going to be back with Emma Knows Money, my top 5 stories. And then we're also going to talk about something called key employee agreements, something that you as a business owner need to find out about when we come back in 300 seconds. Stocks impressed us, and what stocks were on sale for us to look at as opportunities. This week in the stock market, it was a bloodbath. I'm talking red wedding, okay? There was only one company on the Dow 30 that was actually made gains, and that was McDonald's, and they were up 0.1%. And for the decliners, we actually had something special happen. We had Verizon down 4.4%. We had Dow Inc. down 3.5%. Cisco Systems down 2.9%. Goldman Sachs Group down 2.6%, and we had a 3-way tie for the 5th loser. Nike, Walgreens, and Boeing were all down 2.4%. Horrible week. But again, if things are down, stocks are down, think of that as an opportunity. If you're still investing in your Roth IRAs, your 401ks, you're actually buying more while the market is down. So keep that in mind. All right, sneakerhead stocks. For all my sneakerheads out there, Adidas was down, Puma was down, Under Armour was down, Nike was down, Skechers was down, and there was a new 52-week low on Friday for Foot Locker. That's right, Foot Locker was down about almost 3.5%. For the U.S. Construction Index, year to date, I'm always going to be looking at what's going on with home building. And so U.S. Home Construction Index, for the month, we're up about almost 11%, and year to date, we're up almost 25%. Recession watch again is always when we're looking at what's going on with the 10-year Treasury versus the 2-year Treasury. Usually when the 10-year, right, inverts, goes lower than the 2-year numbers, then usually that means we're smack dab in the middle of a recession. And one of the things, if you've been paying attention to the show, every week when I give you these numbers, the percentages of the 10-year and the 2 years are dropping. So the 10-year Treasury ended last week at 2.133%. That's how much it's paying as far as yields are concerned. So if you've got money invested in a 10-year Treasury, you're only making about 2%. And the 2-year Treasury has dropped to 1.92%. So that's a drop. The 2-year Treasury has been hovering at around 2%, and it's dropped. And there's not that big of a difference right now between the 10-year and the 2-year. So make sure that you are still paying that attention. All right, I am still here with Gerald Jeter. I like saying, I watch a lot of Family Guy. I watch a lot of Family Guy, so I'm always saying, Peter. So just what other types of insurances do you think people should have? Business owners.
Well, business owners. Definitely a key person insurance. The key person insurance is going to protect that key person. It doesn't have to be an owner, though. It could be someone that has a process that they're exceptional at sales, and if you lose that person, you could. Or in your industry, well, not in your sub-industry, it could be your producer.
Yeah.
And so if you lose your producer, you could lose, multiple viewers because, you got to find a new producer.
Why you don't put ideas in his head, please. I need my producer. But Gerald is absolutely right. As a business owner, you should start thinking about selling your business now. You should always be thinking about selling your business because you may not want to sell it, but something can always happen to you, and you need to sell it. And so having key person insurance is a nice, the frame for it is, or word for it is golden handcuffs.
Yes.
You want to golden handcuff your producers. You want to golden handcuff your managers, the people that really make a difference in your business. And it's not, I shouldn't call it golden handcuffs per se, because it's a win-win for both parties.
Definitely.
It's a win for the business owner because they get to keep the value of their business up, and it's a win for the employee because they are going to receive benefits, or their families will receive benefits because of their good and hard work, right?
Definitely.
So let's talk about business owners. We know people usually have disability insurance, but what is business overhead?
That lost revenue.
Yeah, so business overhead insurance is not disability insurance.
Correct.
Disability insurance will protect your income, but business overhead insurance does exactly that. The landlord doesn't care, right? So so the insurance company will give you money to go someplace else. Well, you'll also have money to pay your employees, which is very important.
Yes.
And if you as the business owner get hurt, they will also pay for you to put somebody else in your spot. Okay, so you'll get some money for that as well. And still to come, my top 5 news stories. I want to thank Gerald for being here with us today. And how can people reach you?
Well, you can reach me in multiple different ways. You can find me on the internet. LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. You can look up GK Jeter Agency. That's GKG as in golf, E-T as in Tom, E-R Agency.
That's right. I want to thank you so much for all you've done today. This was great. And if you have questions, still put the comments in. I'll make sure that he gets them. When we come back, we're going to go into my top 5 news stories for the week on Financial Renaissance with the M's.
Wake up and text.
And we are building our financial houses from the ground up this morning. I want to say thank you to our listeners, David Gasco, Roxanne Kali, Hillary Thomas, Shardea Ages. I know Shardea. Actually, I know a lot of you. Karen Holly and Dee Marie, I believe. Thank you for your comments and your thumbs up or whatever it is that you're doing that's making my manager put your names in my faces. I appreciate that. So let's get into the top 5 stories. In the last 30 years, the richest, the top 1% of our country have accumulated half of all the available stock. Let that sink in for a second. All the stock that's available for us to buy that we're supposed to, that's supposed to help us advance our wealth, the top 1% own half of that. In the late 80s, that number was slightly under 40%. And they've said that there's 5 reasons why the majority of Americans are being held back. The first one is by race, duh, right? By education. And again, There's a big debate going on right now about whether or not people really need to have their college degree or not. In about 4 or 5 years, 65% of the jobs are going to require a undergraduate degree or higher. So by education, 87% of the people with undergraduate degrees feel financially okay, versus 64% of the people with a high school diploma or less. Now, white and black people are almost neck and neck with this next data point. Student loan defaults. 18% of white people are defaulting on their student loans versus 21% of black people. Now, again, back to income inequality. Do something about that and maybe we won't have these. The third thing that's holding people back from accumulating wealth has to do with access to credit, but some of that has to do with the variable incomes that people have, which make it difficult for them to budget. So that leads to low credit, which leads to financial hardships, which leads to predatory financial services. Fell out of the labor force this year. And please don't think that people who are in their 50s or 60s, they're wiping you off and counting you as retired, even though you may still have to work. And then there's the forgotten people. 40% of Americans are struggling to pay at least one basic need, whether they have to make a choice between food or rent, or food or prescriptions and things of that nature. Next story we have has to do with a combination of technology and the human touch. That's right. We thought Best Buy was down for the count. We thought Amazon came and just beat them down, right? They were down for the count, but Amazon actually tipped their hat. Respect, brethren. Amazon is now partnered with Best Buy to buy televisions. Okay, because when people are buying expensive TVs, they're not ordering it offline. They want to go into a store. You're spending that much money, you want to see. So what Best Buy is doing, Best Buy and the healthcare industry has been dating, and none of us have been paying attention. Best Buy has invested almost about $800 million into the healthcare space. You can even go on their website. I'll put it on a link on our Facebook page, but they have partnered with great call devices and services and also critical signal technology. So they are, Best Buy's medical care business is going to be pushed forward because of the Medicare Advantage plan. So kudos to Best Buy for being a progressive company and seeing that change needs to happen in order for you to survive. All right, our next story we're going to be looking at has to do with rich people and them thinking they got moves like Jagger, right? So this factoid is equal opportunity, and it transcends across all races, all right? And this is a no big deal. I knew this type of story. The Journal of Personality and Social Psychology studied and surveyed 152,000 people, and the results aren't rocket science, except it's going to validate stuff that we've all known. All right, you probably had some officers that you dealt with that you were like, you really shouldn't be here.
Right.
Right. So the results are, wait for it, people with more education, income, and from a higher social class have an exaggerated belief that they perform better than they do. I can feel y'all blank stare blinking at me right now. I didn't do the study, but I'm just letting you know I'm giving you validation for your feelings when you're dealing with someone and you're like, this person is an absolute idiot. It's true. They are, and they believe that they are not. So what's even more messed up is that the people judge people with higher education, more income, and from a higher social status as being more competent than they really are. And let that sink in for a second. Okay? So it's not even just them. It's a lot of us, too, who are giving them more kudos than they want. Now, here's what you can do according to this article. Here's what you can do to level the playing field according to the study. Use a factual tone. Stand tall. When you speak, take your time and be calm and relaxed. And then good old-fashioned exercise is supposed to help with your confidence. And then daily affirmations like Stuart Smiley. I am enough. Mess out of here, right? I think that's trash. I think this whole article is trash. Here's what I have to say about this story. How about you learn how to adapt to other people? Other people don't always need to adapt to you. Not everyone who's intelligent is very talkative. Some of them are very introverted, and some people speak slower or lower than others. My manager that's out there, we get into it all the time because she speaks very low and slow, and then she pauses in the middle of sentences. So I think she's finished. right? Me being a New Yorker, you pause, it means it's my turn now. So we get into it all the time. You have to adapt to the people that are around you. So, you know, do whatever you need to do. I write down listen or speak slower or pause so that I don't, you know, bum rush through my conversations with people. So this news story, it goes in the trash. Don't like it. All right. This last story really breaks my heart. The creator of, this isn't the last story, this is the next to the last. The 401k creator, Ted Banna, is struggling with his creation. So someone created the 401k, Ted Banna, and he wants a penance. He wants us to forgive him. Now, the 401k was actually created for highly compensated employees. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't created for the masses. And it was supposed to supplement their pension income. So that sounds familiar. Like Social Security was supposed to supplement pensions. 401ks were created to supplement pensions also, okay? But for higher compensated employees. So it was supposed to give them the ability to have more of a tax deduction when the tax law shifted back in the day. So the 401k was not meant to be our sole means of retirement. Think about that. So he says that income has no bearing on savings. Either we're savers or we're not. So he's blaming the people as to the reason why those intentions are kind of misconstrued a little bit. So until this factoid about income inequality comes into picture, you can't expect, what is it, blood from a turnip? Like we can't do that. So I'm sorry, Ted, you know, take your guilt somewhere else. Your story gets trashed. All right. So now here's the story that broke my heart. Are you a fan of Marvel comics?
I do.
Were you a comic book reader as a kid?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, but you did watch the Avengers movies?
Yes.
All right, so this may break your heart too. So Stan Lee's former manager has been arrested, and the charges against him are horrific. And this goes to show people, trust no one around your elder relatives. If you've got an elder relative, elder person that you care about, make sure you pay attention to the people that are around them. Background check them and audit their processes. Spend extra money to do that, okay? Make sure you understand what's going on. This jive sucker fool, Kia Morgan, K-E-Y-A. His real name is Karash Mazari, M-A-Z-H-A-R-I, Mazari? That sounds like a Mazari. He tried to fleece Stan Lee of Marvel Comics, Stan Lee the GOAT. Mazari's charges are as follows. 1 felony count of false imprisonment by an elder for the use of fraud and deceit. 3 felony counts of grand theft from an elder of more than $950. So usually grand theft is about $5,000. When you do it to an elderly person, it's $950. And 1 misdemeanor count of elder abuse for knowingly and willingly inflicting mental suffering on the victim. Isn't that crazy? Right.
Misdemeanor?
Right. Well, I mean, he's got 4 felonies and 1 misdemeanor.
Yeah.
I'm saying.
That's pretty.
Right. And this just gets to me because it's like, what kind of filthy bottom of the shoe person are you? But I know they're going to take care of you in jail because I know there's a lot of Stan Lee fans there. So how this guy kind of got his hands into Stan Lee's pockets, he, after Stan Lee's wife passed away in 2017, he like tightened his grip and started keeping some of his monies away from him and stuff like that. Overall, he stole about $250,000. Now, that's a lot of money for normal people, and it could have wiped on his, estate. But fortunately, Stan Lee had all his faculties and was able to file a restraining order against this guy before he passed. So that means this guy will stand for all these charges. All right, when we come back, Emma knows money, and we're going to have a question with Gerald about what to do regarding homeowner improvements and things that add value to your home. When we come back in 250 seconds on Financial Renaissance with the M's.
And so a new American industry has been born.
Sensation Station Network.
And we're back with Financial Renaissance with the M's. It is the Emma Knows Money segment. That's right, Emma Knows Money. Gerald said I shouldn't rap. He said I should stick to money. I will stick to money. The Emma Knows Money, we're going to be talking about the top 5 things you need to know about your homeowner's insurance policy. Number 1, understand your deductibles. If you can afford a higher deductible, go ahead and go with one, because you're not going to be calling, you don't want to call your agent for $800 or $1,000 accident or something that happens. So if you can afford $2,500 or whatever, higher of things of value and of sentimental value. Make sure you put it in the cloud, and that somebody besides yourself, somebody in another state, possibly on the other side of the country, West Coast, has access to it also. And then replacement costs versus actual cash value. You want to look at your policy, or as Gerald mentioned, call your agent and find out what you have. And if you have actual cost, or actual cash value or whatever, you want to make sure that you change that. Now, your policy rates will go up possibly a little bit, but I promise it's worth it, because if you spend $1,000 on a TV and you get a check for $250, you will not be happy. And then ask about discounts. Some states offer, some insurance companies have discounts if you're part of a sorority, if you're part of some type of trade organization, something along those lines. But also sometimes if you have your home and auto with the same company, if you've got multiple properties, you kind of want to put everything with the same company, because sometimes they'll give you discounts for that. Sometimes you'll get discounts for having an alarm system, or replacing your roof, or adding deadbolts, things like that. So when you're talking to your insurance agent, you say, "Insurance agent Gita, what type of discounts can I get? What else can I do to get this rate down?" And they should tell you. And then read your policy carefully. No, it's not exciting, but when you're talking to your agent, have that policy out so that you can take notes in the policy. So when they say things that you're not familiar with, you're not going to remember it when you hang up the phone. I promise you, you're not going to remember it. So take notes right in the policy, because those notes aren't just for you. They're also for your family members or loved ones if something happens and they need to be the point of contact. The other thing, too, regarding homeowner policies, make sure that you're reviewing your homeowner policy at least once a year. Yes. Mr. Jeter says at least once a year. All right, so we've got a question for you. Someone wants to know about home improvements that add value. Do you need to so let's say you redo your kitchen, right? And you've spent $35,000 or $50,000 on your kitchen. Do you need to call your insurance agent?
Absolutely.
All right, there you go. Call your insurance agent. As he said, if you're doing any types of improvements, especially adding square footage, but also if you're adding value, redoing your bathrooms, the basement, your deck, all of that stuff, let your agent know. And that's my Emma Knows Money segment. Thank you.
Oh, long time no see. It's me. So it's time to do what real beasts do. Unleash beast. Write your history.
And we are back. Financial Renaissance with the M's, and what a great show we had today. Thank you for all of the energy that you have been giving us. On the show, we covered some serious topics. We talked about the southern states and their abortion ban, and we get it. We've got low birth rates. People are afraid. There's a changing of the coloration of our country. We get it, but you can't talk out of one side of your neck. Okay, if you're saying that lives matter, you also have to care about people that are on our planet and breathing. There's homelessness. We've got cities underneath freeways, people like encampments underneath freeways. People need help, and it's not just the unborn, it's also the ones that are here. Homelessness and hunger, let's take care of that. I want to thank Gerald Jeter from the GK Jeter Agency in Georgia. We talked about some insurances and the things that you need to take into consideration before the extreme weather strikes your area. If you have questions, go ahead and drop those still on our Facebook page, and we'll make sure that Gerald gets those and that he can answer those for you. And then on behalf of myself, my producer, my manager, we want to say thank you to all our listeners for giving us some energy today. Today was pretty live, and hopefully, not hopefully, it's going to be live next week too, because I'm going to be here. So on the way, we have Smooth Sensational Sunday, and then Connecting the Dots with Lee Watts at 4 o'clock. And remember, keep your crowns up and shiny, and lions don't respond to dogs barking. So don't pay attention to people that you shouldn't be paying attention to. Let them chat if they need to chat, but you stay focused, stay laser focused. See you next Sunday on Financial Renaissance with the M's.
Tell me what you really want. Tell me what you're thinking of. You're my melody. You are everything to me. Girl, I am to
Adopt U.S. Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your